okay, despite the fact that we have huge catalog traveling across the world. Something is broken, but we will try during this session to suggest ways how that can be fixed. So please understand that this is not just talk. While we criticize the system, it's important that we offer solutions and all of that. So to anchor or moderate this session is actually Barrister Kinyemi and Yolua, but will, for some unavoidable reason, is not here. He has appealed that please his partner in his law firm stand in for him. Akinyemi called to say that he was a bit indisposed, and that is very understandable. So to anchor this session is Barrister Kabil Adeyemo. Is an entertainment and IP practitioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Kabir Adeyemo, as introduced, and I'll be anchoring this particular roundtable discussion. I apologize once again for Mr. Akinyemi's absence. It was unavoidable, right? So the topic of today, that we are discussing about, because I want this to be as interactive as possible, right? I'm not here to, like he mentioned at the beginning of this particular event, he said it is not a conference, so we are here to interact. It's a roundtable discussion, right? So we are looking at the broken royalty model. So see broken royalty model as a situation in the music industry where there's a big pot, right? And that is where all the monies, all the royalties that are generated are dumped, right? And all the creatives, the artists, all the rights holders, let me use that word, are going to go to and be picking their own according to how big their catalog is or how much of streams they have. So this is what is called a pro rata distribution, a situation where you have 10 million streams, you can be able to like dip your hand inside the pots and say, hey, I have 10 million streams, I'm taking that. So this is a problem actually, if you ask me, because this is only favorable to the people that are up there. What about the people that are down here, the independent artists, the underground artists who have core fans? I think one of the speakers earlier mentioned that there are people that have core fans. There are like independent artists that have people that listen to their music on a daily. Like if we have, maybe I'm a subscriber and the only person I'm subscribing, like I'm a premium subscriber to a DSP, and the only person that I'm listening to throughout the whole month that I'm paying a subscription fee is Dotty, or I'm listening to Ashake. No, sorry, let me not use like someone that is already out there. Just give me a name, please. Do we know any underground artists or independent artists that we just want to like give a spotlight? Priest, exactly. So Priest is Imagine, right? So if it's only Priest that I listen to throughout, that money that I am paying, the subscription fee that I'm paying, is not going to reflect for Priest royalties alone. They are going to dump it in that particular pot, and every other person is going to share from that particular money. I don't know if you understand. Did I lose you? Right? So this is the problem, because why am I listening to only Priest, and Priest is not the one directly collecting my money? Why is it that I have to like listen to only Priest? Priest is the only one that has been sparking my emotions, has been like triggering everything that I want, the feelings and all. But the likes of Taylor Swift is also collecting from it. The likes of Drake is also sharing from it. It's a problem. I think in 2025, about over $43 million was paid to Nigerian artists, and I'm very sure that most independent artists did not even touch that money because it was shared pro rata. If you have higher streams, come forward. If you have lower stream, you have to like wait your turn or something. And yeah, let me also mention that we have different sources of, streams of income. We have the royalties, which is on the digital side. We have the composition, the publishing. We have the live performance, as it has been earlier mentioned. We have the merchandise. We have several other ones, right? But these artists are only able to, most of our artists, unfortunately, are only able to focus on the streams that are not even paying them that much, right? If you look, if you are supposed to, as an artist, collect about $1,000, you're expected to make up to 2,500 streams on a particular song, which is a lot of streams for that particular amount of money, right? These are like conversations that we are supposed to like have, right? The CMOs that we also have here in Nigeria, are they actually collecting? Where are they collecting? Are they collecting from the hotels, the bars in our localities? Are they able to like enforce the rights or the power they have to be able to collect on behalf of these composers, right? So it's a pandemic, if I can put it that way, right? And I think another thing that's probably influenced why so many royalties are not passed around most of our creatives is because of the institution trust, lack of institution trust, where our artists or our rights holders don't even trust the institutions that are saddled with the power to collect on their behalf. An example is we have different CMOs. If you go to MCSN portal, they are going to tell you that they are like the one and only CMO that are approved by NCC, right? I wish Mr. Asen, the DG of NCC, is here to help us clarify, right? If you also go to COSON is going to tell you that they are the biggest CMO, right? So there are like conflicts, and rights holders don't even know where to look to be able to collect their monies. So there's a problem, right? I think earlier this year, we had the whole RELP and MCSN also like fighting over the private copy levy. So many of our rights holders are not even registered with any of them, right? So they have to like be on the watch, like, okay, there's one money, there's something that is called private copy. So many people are not even educated to that extent, and which brings us to like the education part of it. I mean, there are just so many things that we need to unpack. Yeah, there are so many things that we should unpack to be able to understand how the rights holders can be able to like get more money, how they are able to like know that these are the things that I'm entitled to by virtue of my creativity, right? I have a theory that the payment system in the music industry is not rewarding creativity, it is rewarding popularity, right? So I think my first question would probably like to you, what do you think are the challenges that we are facing aside the ones that I've mentioned, or you can probably challenge me with respect to the ones that I even mentioned. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Adachuku. I'm with Alex, a full-service law firm. So I think one of the issues is lack of knowledge and lack of information, and that's the primary point. So some of these artists, I think, I look at it this way. For the average Nigerian child who got introduced to music or sports, their whole idea was that they just wanted to blow. Like, they don't want to blow like whiskey, they don't want to blow like Oshime. What that blowing entails, they don't necessarily like comprehend the full picture. So if I blow, for instance, if I'm on YouTube, if my content is on YouTube, because like you're trying to point out, in places like the US, there are independent artists, indie artists that they're not known, but from their music, they're making enough to go by because there are laws that protect. There's also knowledge. So the average person doesn't even understand that, okay, if I make a song and I put it out there, if for instance it's used on YouTube, I can approach YouTube some sort of way to say, okay, how do I get my money? Or if my music, because with YouTube, for instance, if you put up videos, I think you need a threshold of about 1,000 subscribers or so before you monetize. Things like that, like people don't even understand that concept, because again, because of lack of knowledge, we have situations whereby if my colleague Ebube here does music, I can create my own channel, maybe name it musiclovers.com, and put it on YouTube, and then I'm monetizing, like getting money off of her stuff. So there's that lack of knowledge, so people are just doing anything that they like. So I think just to help the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think before you, just to contribute to what you said, I think there's there's that problem, the lack of knowledge, because we see so many rights holders that are only focusing on streaming income, that they neglect the publishing side, the PRO side, not knowing that on that particular streams, on that particular 10 million streams, there's also the mechanical royalty that the publisher is supposed to collect.
Thank you so much. My name is Jeanette. I'm a music lawyer. I work with the blog Entertainment. So as long as I agree with the former speaker, I also believe that another pertinent problem is metadata. So most of the creatives don't know what metadata is, and they don't know how important metadata is to the collection of their royalties. So as a music lawyer, where I have to like clear songs and advise creatives, so many people have still not joined performance rights organizations like COSON, like MCSN and all that. So all that money is going somewhere, it's going into the black box, which would in turn be paid to other top creatives because nobody is claiming that royalty. And also they are not aware about IPI numbers, interested person identification, when they have to register with a PRO and get the IPI number, which is like an identification number for them to be able to track the use of their song, the exploitation of their song. So as much as knowledge, lack of knowledge, ignorance is one part, another part is the metadata part, the metadata part that helps to connect the creators to the use and exploitation of their music. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. I think when Fusa was also speaking the other time, she made reference to instances where a creator will just come from somewhere and register like 25% maybe on publishing or something without even knowing, or maybe affirming that, okay, is that actually like the percentage that I am entitled to, right? We've seen like instances like this where creators are going to like create, of course, artists, songwriters, producers. Long years after the whole creation thing, they don't have any split sheets. They just go their way. The song picks up. They just realize that one other person that probably contributed maybe a loop or something is claiming maybe a 50%, a 40%. Now it's a problem because if every other person now registers what they think they should also be getting, and it is above 100%, that's it, particular royalty is going to be withheld, and it's just going to like cause problem for every other person. Sorry, any other one? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so just sort of like looking at the session topic and what has been said. A lot has been said, about streaming and the revenue, but not much about sync licensing has been said. And then that's an area where I don't think many of the artists within the Nigerian and African region have been able to maximize. Because first of all, we've not built sync licensing models for, and systems for the African market. And what do I mean by that? An artist wants to get his music on a Nigerian film. How do you go about it? Where do the film producers? Myself, I've been in the film space producing, doing sound design, working with producers for over, give or take 10 years. And because I do that, it's not been easy having to, first of all, easily access music for films, gaming, animation, and all of that. And then when we even go about creating, how do you ensure that which was created for this film, who owns the right? So again, there's composition, there is the writing. How do you position the people who were involved in creating that to ensure that they get their residuals subsequently when the film goes on like a Netflix? Those conversations are not had anywhere right now, and I feel like that's limiting the earning potential of our creators, because everybody just looking on streaming and live performance. Meanwhile, we're leaving out the mass potential of sync licensing and gaming, first for the African market and then globally. And even when people think about sync licensing, we're all looking at, okay, how do I get my music on, let's say, PlayStation? How do I get it on international, TV and all of that? How do I earn royalties from all of that? But, that's already far-reaching, and so it's just more or less like, how do we ensure that we create for ourselves this enabling environment where our artists can maximize the potential of sync licensing from within the African scape. Myself, I'm building something, to sort of like address that, sort of like a solution, but it's not something that can stand on its own. It's something that requires a collective, input for it to be a place that we can all accept. And that's one of the things that you look at. Our system is one which, once somebody provides a solution, the next man is looking to copy, as against to look at how can we strengthen that and adopt. How can we build around it? So there's just a lot that I think we need to look at with regards to that. But thank you.
I appreciate you. So, I mean, in addition to what you just said, synchronization license or synchronization generally is one particular area that many creators or rights holders don't look at, right? And whenever music is created, it just falls back to what Akachuku mentioned the other time. Adachuku, sorry about that, mentioned the other time about lack of knowledge. So many of them don't even know that, because I'm entitled to so percentage on publishing, I should also like be getting something anytime that particular music is used in a film, in movies, in games, commercials, and the rest of them, right? Yeah, let me just go to.
My name is Kenneth Ehichoya. As long as the industry remains, popularity will get more share of the licensing. But how do we solve this problem with those who are not popular yet? I can beat my chest to say, if Fela was still alive, he probably would still be having the numbers, because he has created a culture, he has created that community around his music in such that he has a place where people come to listen to music and they take it away to other people, like one man to the other, from one person to the other, from one person, it travels like that, and he has a huge audience right now. For Nigerian musicians, if you look at all of them, both the existing ones, the living ones and the dead, Fela seems to have that edge over them. So what do I suggest? Nigerian creatives, the ones that are creative, like you said, they don't get something as in comparison with the popular ones. They should learn to work with a team, because I realize that some people think once I have a good music, it will sell itself. There's a book written by John Maxwell that says talent is not enough. Yeah, talent is very good, but it is not enough. So, as a talented person who can write song, produce song, and deliver other things that needed to be done in that creative work, you need other people who have knowledge in other areas to help you push that to where it should go, like a lawyer, a manager, publicist, the online people who can help you spread it all around. When we start to build that community, as in probably have a place where you play, where people identify with you, then from one person to the other, from one person to the other, you're able to reach out to audience and all of that. You'll be able to spread, and that we accumulate into numbers that we give you the a larger share of the royalties that you've not been getting before. So, but I just think we need to do that.
Thank you so much for that, sir. So there's something I want to quickly do before I go to my daddy here, right? So can we probably just make suggestions of synchronization platforms that we know, so that every other person can learn from that, or probably check them out, maybe drop some placements. We don't know which of the music that we are pitching is going to be approved. I'll go first. Bridge Audio. Call, yeah, I've interacted with them before. Who else? Do we have any other synchronization platform that we should check out? All right, thank you.
Thank you. This is Wally Badaru again. I just want to testify of what I know from the so-called Western world of artists beginning in this activity, knowing nothing of what should be done. As a composer or songwriter, your natural partner is the publisher. The publisher is the person whose role is to make sure that your work, your composition, your lyrics are being permanently exploited, and whatever revenue is being generated you get it. Because he has or she has a stake at doing so, she ensures or he ensures that you are getting it. And he's the one controlling the CMO, making sure that the CMO are doing their job in collecting your money as a composer and songwriter. And the publisher, the good publisher, is the one that has a network of publishers around the world, so that his sub-publishers in each and every country will make sure that each CMO within each country is doing the job. That's how it is being looked at. This is what we at SACEM in France, we are professing, and we're teaching as much as we can. Because this problem is universal. I mean, it's everywhere. We don't know, as musicians, what to do. We don't have a clue. In America, they know, because at school, in music school, they teach the business side of things. But in the rest of the world, we don't have that kind of education. So we need publishers to do that. And so we need to have a publishing system in Africa, which is very lacking at this time. But also we need to have CMOs that can be accountable. So we need to have a CMO system that is fully transparent. And that's where the publisher comes in to make sure that it happens and it works. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me just...
Thanks, Andy, artist manager again. We had a discussion at the Roundtable in Kristiansand one year about how we educate artists in how important their metadata is. And one of the things that strikes me is how monumentally boring the word is. It reminds me of the blockchain, which was going to fix the data problem. And I said, the problem you've got with blockchain, it's an incredibly boring word. It's a very uncreative word. And it seems like quite a silly thing to say, but we're dealing with creatives here. And I'm a manager. I'm supposed to understand what we're talking about here. And I often don't. I've got no training whatsoever. I left school at 16 and became a DJ. So I've got no education, no higher education. And I'm supposed to understand the entire music industries across all the sectors. And so when I assign an artist, they look to me for my guidance. And I can't always give it, because I don't always know that sector particularly well. But at a fundamental level, what happens is the artist looks to me, instead of looking to themselves, and I say to the artist two things. First of all, I'm just a manager. And I know that maybe you've heard through whatever culture that I can help you find, I can make you famous. I can't make you famous. If you're successful, it won't be because of me. And if you fail, it won't be because of me. But we still have industries which say to artists, don't you worry, just you write the songs and I'll take care of the rest as you pull the cloak behind you. And we keep them in the dark. I've no idea how we educate and perpetually educate artists who are being born every second right now, so that they understand that before they put a song anywhere, they understand about metadata. I think certainly it's surely the case where most artists have never had higher education, they've never gone to university. So how do we catch the ones like me, who are not in a position to go to university to learn this education? I've got no idea. I've no solutions here. But we have to somehow make the conversation more artistic, I think, more human in some way.
Thanks so much for that. Okay.
Sorry, hi, me again. So I think one way to do that is to speak to the artists in the language that they would understand. So I'm going to use the financial sector in Nigeria with Money Point and OP. There was a time in Nigeria where there were a lot of unbanked people who hid their money. I think even post-COVID, there were people who still buried their money in the ground. And then OPay and Money Point came in such a way that even the most uneducated Nigerian woman who is a trader, like, she's willing to do OPay with you. She'll tell you, oh, this is my phone number, remove the zero, send the money quick, it's gone. Like, before, these were people that if you wanted to trade with them by, once you say account number, they think you want to scam them. But these people were able to enter the market and speak to them in a language that they understood. And now, like, I mean, OPay is about to be publicly traded in the US. The money they've made, Money Points is racking in billions, if I'm not mistaken. So when it comes to music, I think one thing we can do is to break it down in the simplest way possible. So stakeholders should find ways to educate. Like I said, the average, no shit to Nigerian men, but the average Nigerian boy was like 10 or 13. Once science is proving difficult, like this, he wants to be a footballer or he wants to blow through music. Shad just wants to blow. So from that age, you can find a way to teach them young. Tell them that, okay, as you are making this song, know that you can make money off of it. When you make money off of it, like, speak to them, because that way, because I mean, if we could make it work with finance, we definitely can make it work with music. It's just to speak to them in the language that they understand. So thank you.
I'm Daniel Nordgaard. Just want to add to, I mean, do we want a system which relies on artists and musicians wanting to understand how the system works? Because I know when I played in band, I ended up being the manager. I ended up being because I liked it. No one else did. They hated it, and they despised it. And I remember having conversations with my bandmates and saying, like, look, you know, we just registering for authors' rights and making sure that all my bandmates got what they were deserved. And they were like, we don't give a shit. You know, we don't care. We just want to play music. And I think, sadly, many of them represent a majority of the musicians and artists. They don't care. They want, yeah. And there's a reason why many of the, many contracts have been signed on bar paper. Yeah. Because it hasn't been prioritized and it keeps not being prioritized. And I think that we can educate, and we have to educate. But we can't rely on all these musicians and artists wanting to know it, because many of them, for many good reasons, don't care. They don't want to do it.
If I may, very quickly, there's a reason for that. Let's never forget that at the very beginning, there is a man or a woman in her family playing some piano, playing some instrument. And everybody goes like, oh, he's talented. Oh, she's talented. Good, carry on. But it's still within the very close neighborhood, the friends and the family. Up until somebody one day puts some money on what you do, you don't know that you have a value. So you are ready to sign whatever sheet of paper is given to you. Oh, I'm worth something. Somebody's giving me a contract. Where do I sign? That's it.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Chinecherem and I work with Setsin LLP. So I wanted to talk on two purviews, contracts and unions. So like already said, many artists don't really care. They just want to make music. And so when they see that, oh, someone wants to sign me, they're going to give me money and I can just make the music and focus on that, they just go ahead and sign these things. So it's very important to somehow educate these artists, or at least put the work of learning the intricacies, the jargon of the business, and then letting them focus on the music part. So these contracts that they sign, especially even as established artists who blew up several years ago before streaming became the mainstream thing, their contracts may not provide for the many revenue that comes from publishing or neighboring rights or sync licensing and things like that. So they may be losing from these places. So the contracts need to be reviewed. Even AI comes in because you see that there are now ways that you could earn from AI that has not been looked at with the contract you signed. So the artist should at least have someone who is able to look at these tiny letters that they may not have focused on. And many artists also think that once there is a lawyer, then everything is fine. The label's lawyer is working for me, which is not true. The artist himself should have his own lawyer, while the label has their own lawyer, because one lawyer can't honestly work for two bosses at once, you know. Then on the union part, established artists might find it easier to navigate these things and get more royalty, get better deals and all, just based off the fact that they have become known names and all. But emerging artists have it more difficult, because not only do they not understand the business, it would be very difficult for them to come out and say, oh, I want this, and this, just based off the fact that I know it's my right. It will be difficult. So I think unions are important. They can be able to come together. So I think beginning of this month or last month, the American Federation of Musicians came together to sue Universal Music and Warner Music, you know, because these top labels entered agreements with AI companies, you know, took some money in exchange for. So this deal was done without the artist whose music you're using being called to the table to say, oh, this, and that. So this federation came together to say, okay, this new deal is a different, it's bringing in a different revenue from what is in our agreement with you. Shouldn't there be a way that we benefit from it? Shouldn't there be an amendment or things like that? So it's kind of easy to listen to them because they are unionized. This is a large group of people, and so at least it would shake the music group a bit. So if individual emerging artists are doing this on their own, it would be really difficult. But if somehow they are able to become a union and then speak for themselves, then I think it would be easier to kind of limit the gaps that they are facing in earning from their royalties.
Thank you so much. I mean, a lot has been said on this particular topic. I'll just take 3 more. Then we see, okay, 4. Then we switch to something. I want to flip sorry, ma'am, come here, ma'am. So,
thank you very much. My name is Shola Lavi. So I want to piggyback on what Papa, sorry, I've forgotten your name. Okay, thank you, sir. You mentioned something about the role of a publisher, right? And I don't see us saying much about that. So I'm a musician, I'm a music creator as well. And for the smaller percentage of musicians that I know who are interested in the business side of music, they probably have their PRO registered with BMI, registered with this and that. If some of them are registered with Custom, but they don't see anything. You mentioned the role of a publisher. And the last time I asked this question somewhere, I think the response I got was, you don't just walk up to anyone to have a conversation of them being your publisher. I don't know how true that is. So that is still, what that is telling me is that you still need to be known to a large extent, have that visibility before someone will be interested in you to be your publisher. So what is the solution? Are we saying every other independent artist or emerging musician should just work on their craft, work on their visibility first before we start having these conversations? Because without a publisher, you actually can't get anything. So what's the solution?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the problem. At the beginning, you're nobody. And at some point, you are going to be somebody. That somebody is going to be named by either a label or a publisher or a manager or an agent. You need somebody to believe in you. That's the problem. And up until you have that, you have to do it just by yourself. But again, that will only work if there is publishing. If there are no publishers around, you're left alone anyway. So normally publishers are looking for talent. And if talent is there, they should be seeking and looking at you. But I understand. That's the problem. I understand.
Just to add to, hello? Can you hear me? Okay. So just to add to what he just said. Hello? Is it working? Hello? Okay. Just to add to what he just said, I think with respect to publishers, it's very easier for you to be able to approach any publisher. And the reason why I feel like immediately you are dropping your first single or your first record, just have your publishing company or just a particular publishing platform to help you to publish that particular work is because immediately you publish that particular work, it starts generating some sort of income, right? And if you don't collect this particular income for about 12 to 18 months, it's going to wipe. So another set of money will start coming in for you. So that one that has gone is going to black box and it's going to be distributed by these people that are at the top. These rights holders that are at the top, they are going to be the ones. It's just like there's the pot of money, just like I mentioned the other time. Then there's the reserve. So everyone has come to the pot of money to dip their hands into the pot to pick their own share, and all. After that particular period has elapsed, that pot is going to be overturned to maybe another pot that's called the reserve. So that the reserve is the one that's now known as the black box. So every other person that's still at the top will still go back to that place to share that black box, the monies that are inside the black box. So it's best for you to approach a publisher immediately you are putting out your record. I mean, there's so many publishing platforms now that you can easily like register your thing as an independent writer or producer. Sorry, please.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I want to, because I know that African Music Business Roundtable is, I know one of their policy is not just to, it's not just to just talk, it's also to provide solution. So in as much as we're talking, the solution we can provide, let's start it now. I don't know if we have any entertainment lawyers association. If we don't, start now, point president. Let us start it now, because we talk about educating people. Who are the people educating these people? If you don't have an association, you talk about a union. If we just talk and we leave here, no results. Let's form the union now and then. Now. Then next time when we come, we're giving reports of what the union has done. So please, I want to call the organizers, come and appoint a president of that union. Let us start the union now. And then I also want to suggest, we're talking about educating these upcoming artists as well. I'm a teacher. We teach most of the upcoming artists. If we invite you to the class, please come and do things for us. Community service, pro bono. Come and educate them. If we send our students to you, please accommodate them. So that they can get this knowledge and make it better. As they get, they teach others. And it will bring more business to you. Because if they don't have the knowledge, how will they bring the business to you? If they don't know that they have to meet you. So with that, you make yourself also relevant to the market, which is them. And then my organizer, sir, I was saying that African Music Business Roundtable is not just talk, it's solution, because I know that's what you stand for. We talk about unions, and we talk about entertainment lawyers. And we have a number of them here. And they don't have association. So let them start the association now. So that by next roundtable, they will give us data of what they've been able to achieve from now to then. We want sir, appoint president of that union. If there's any other union that is not here, publishers union, I don't know if you have a strong one. If you don't,
Music Publishing Association of Nigeria.
Yeah, okay, yes, you have. Anyone that is here that does not have, please, let this table pioneer those unions. Let's start now. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you want to say something?
No, I'm saying something already. I'm saying something.
Oh, you were? Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were.
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Janet again. So basically, as someone that has been releasing content, educating creators for the past 3 to 4 years now, I used to agree that, we need to educate these creators and artists. But at the same time, I realized that educating these artists and creators won't exactly work, because these artists are more focused on their passion than the music business side of their music. That's the major barrier or the blockage. That's because there's a popular saying that if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. It's a very popular practical thing. And I also remember the time where these artists called out their former management and everyone had so much to say about the dispute. And so someone said that why can't lawyers like sit down these artists and explain this agreement to them? And some of the lawyers, most of the lawyers actually said that there had been instances whereby they sat down the artists, told them what each clause is about, told them what they are expected in the contract, and at the same time, the agreement still did not fall through. There was still some disputes. So I don't feel like educating these artists will do much. I'll be like, I would, because they are not willing and ready to learn. That's my opinion, though. But I would advise that music executive, the burden should fall on the music executives working with these artists, helping these artists, and also representing them.
One house.
So I feel like the burden should fall on the music executives working with these artists, like the artist managers, the PR guys, the record labels should fall to educate themselves, because I don't think these artists are ready to learn because they are not focused on the business side of their music. And also, secondly, about the publishing. So I would advise that if you don't find a publishing company to sign you, there are so many self-help publishing administrators online. We have Centric based in the UK. We have Song Trust based in the US. So you can always go on to them, register with them, register your songs, and also get your publishing royalties from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please. Sorry, sir. Sorry. So these two more, and we just flip to the other side, please. I just because I think we've overstretched education. We need to talk about the policies too. Yeah, please. I'm going to come to you, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mufta Olaifa. I'm an entertainment lawyer. So I agree that the artist needs education, right? But I think it goes beyond education. Now let's start with the fact that there are instances from experience, right? You would have an artist meet you and say, I need you to help me clear this song. I need you to help me out with, at least documenting the metadata, do this and that. But by the time you find out, you'd notice they had not even agreed to the commercial aspects before putting the songs on streaming platforms. So this makes it difficult, more difficult actually. You've not agreed what you want, each person's information and all that, no agreement whatsoever. But the song is already out on DSPs and they are doing fantastic, right? Then you are there trying to think, how do we go about this? Meanwhile, the royalties, everything is accumulating there. At some point, it will even get to payout period, but there's nobody to claim it yet because there is no agreement. So that is still there. That goes back to part of the whole black box thing and whatever. But until you are able to at least issue a letter saying, this belongs to my client, let's clear it, this is how we want to move, and this is how we've done it, right? That's on one part. On the other part, last year, in 2025, right, there's this regulation that was released, this collective management regulations. So it's an improvement from the 2007 regulation, and basically now saying, okay, we understand there are artists who are not exactly registered, and we know there is need for us to then keep these royalties. It then opened a pathway saying, for 7 years you can keep this royalty. After a period of 7 years, you can't find the owner, then the government sort of administer it one way or the other. Just like the example the DG gave earlier, saying there was a time I think an Hollywood production wanted to make use of the work and they had to direct that this is it, and they were satisfied with the negotiation. So that would fall under something like of this nature, right? But it's still developing. We are still going through these areas, and there are a few inconsistencies with this policy, for example, and there are others like that. For this one, which I've mentioned, for example, there is under that, there's this part where you expectedly you'd hold it for 7 years, but there is no clear prescription as to what you are doing within that 7 years at least to help the rights owners. Now, you said you've opened up an avenue for me. I should claim within 7 years. I can only claim within that period if I have one. But if there is no clear provision, or maybe this, I know the CMOs are doing a lot now. We've overflogged that issue and they're really doing better, at least improved. But if there is nothing for me to say within this period, this is maybe you announce, I'm saying the regulation, the body itself may think, okay, let's do this to help them, right? But the regulation has not mandated them to. So that does not necessarily mean it's an obligation. So if it has mandated them to say, within this period, please publish so list of people whose royalties are uncollected and they can do this, let them move from here, let them do this, let them do this, to claim those royalties and have it paid. If you have not done that, then how will I know my royalty is sitting somewhere unclaimed and I have no access to it? That's another.
Thank you very much. That was thoughtful and very deep.
Sorry, my apologies for stampeding the room. And also, I was having a conversation upstairs, so I do not have full context. Let me put that out first. But I picked up something from what she said, and I want to share this from my heart. If you don't remember anything I've shared ever in any of these conversations, please remember this. This is 30 active years of dealing with talent in Nigeria and across Africa. Every time we have these conversations, it's framed as artists versus executives, labels versus artists. It's not true. What we have is not an education problem. It's not an enlightenment problem. It's people and culture. People and culture. It's a culture, I have a phrase for it. I probably would have it copyrighted. I call it the culture of general anyhowness. The culture of general anyhowness is entrenched. And culture, they say, would eat strategy for breakfast any day. People get into spaces with a mindset of shortcuts, dead ends, all kinds of stuff. And please, also, when you leave here, please do a bit of research. Some of the most contentious issues we're having in this space are not necessarily artists versus labels. They're artists versus artists. They're labels versus labels. They're investors versus founders and their partners. It's a people problem. Labels come into this game and they try to shortchange artists. But believe me, artists come into this game with a strategy, a blueprint to shortchange labels and publishers and managers to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Bro, I'm telling you, listen, label talents come to you, they act very humble, they act very desperate. What they just want to do is use your time, use your resources, just find their footing. Talents are working under contract with you and they're doing stuff elsewhere. And they're piling assets and you're totally blindsided. Talents want to, how many talents have renewed their contract in Nigeria over the last 10 years? They signed the first contract. If they didn't fulfill the contract, midway through the contract, they're setting up their own stuff on the side. You were just a bus ride. You were just a bloody bus ride. So this is a people problem, people and systems. It's not education. They spend a lot of time online. They know about everything, FIFA. If they know about everything, Met Gala, they know about everything but copyright and business. It's not by mistake, it's deliberate half the time. So when you deal with this stuff, deal with one human being to another, one business to another. And these cases, let me tell you the best way to sort out these issues. Litigation, legal precedents. Let these disputes, let them run their courses. Publish the results of these disputes. Whether they're settled through arbitration, whether they go through the legal. If you establish a legal precedent, what happened to a record label that tried to shaft an artist? If you publish what happens to an artist that tried to shaft another, have you seen where two artists get together, they create music, and they're struggling to agree? Do you know how many artists refuse to give credit to people who contribute to the process of creating their songs? Do you know how many artists that are owed their producers from 10 years ago, from 15 albums ago, and they're not paying them? Artists. Thank you very much. Have a great time.
All right. Are you sure? All right, who's going?
Just one short sentence. I like to score the fact that before now and before the recent years, the recording industry in Nigeria was very well organized. There were labels, international labels in this country who had standards. These days you make records, you don't put details on the record. No credits to anybody, or just the name of the artist and it's done, it's on the market. But hitherto, you never did an album without all the credits, the data, the information of the songs, the writer, the producer, the engineer in the studio, the T-boy in the studio. Everybody is listed. So you know the root of this stuff. So don't come and say that people are not educated. They know these things have happened before in this country. So let's not go back. I mean, let's not go into
All right, thank you very much. I think we should now move to the solution, right? Are we fine with the pro rata distribution? When I say pro rata distribution, where monies are put in. One house, please. Hello? Yeah. So are we fine with the pro rata distribution where royalties are put in a particular pot and every other person that's a bigger rights holder is able to like get bigger share more than the person that actually has a core fan who subscriber is probably paying on a monthly basis? Do you guys understand? Do you understand? So pro rata distribution is an instance where the DSPs are paying out royalties, right? But those royalties that they are paying out are being shared according to the amount of streams you have. So if you have bigger streams, that means you are getting bigger chunk of the money. So when the people that have bigger streams get to the pots, they dip their hands, they take bigger chunk of the money. By the time the person that has probably 1,000 streams, gets there, there's nothing left to for him to like take. Whereas that person that has 1,000 streams, probably all his 1,000, the people that streamed all his songs, like the 1,000 people that streamed his songs, are paid subscribers. Is that fair to artists?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, basically what it's trying to say is that there are two types of royalty distribution scheme. There's the first one whereby all the money subscribers paid to the streaming platform to stream, to subscribe to that platform is put in a pool of resources and it's going to be shared in accordance to how many streams each artist gets in each quarter. So maybe there's like a particular amount that is allocated to someone that has 1,000 streams, and there is another amount that is allocated to someone that has 500,000 streams. So that's the pro rata he's talking about. And then the other type is a type whereby the artist can only be paid according to people who subscribe to him or his music personally. So those are the differences. So I think I would prefer the pro rata to the other type of distribution scheme because the pro rata, I think the pro rata favors the artists more, like artists with smaller streams or artists that do not have so much fans. It favors them more than the other type because if you're going to go to the other type, if an artist has like maybe 20 fans or 100 people that knows him and subscribe personally to him, they won't make as much as if we are all going to be sharing from a larger pool of resources. And they are saying that, okay, even though you have more fans, I have 20,000 streams, will give you the same amount as you that have maybe probably like 1,000 fans, but you were just able to be lucky enough to get 20,000 streams. So that's what I believe.
Here there are several discussions in this. Some years ago, I was appointed by the Norwegian government to lead they set down a commission on music streaming, and I was the leader of it, and I wrote a report on it because Norway, together with Sweden and South Korea, was very early on adopting music streaming. So we experienced some of the challenges with it. And one of the discussion was the pro rata versus the user-centric model. And the user-centric model, which is not exactly what you described, but more as in you get the streams that is attached to the subscription. So that's a different. And there's another discussion with it too, which is it will we do it stream-based or minute-based? With radio, we do it minute-based. With streaming, we do it stream-based. So a stream is counted one after 30 seconds and one time only, and then it's not counted again. So obviously, if you play music which is longer than 3.2 minutes, you will lose out. If you're classical music, contemporary music, DJ music, is losing out on that. So it's also a minute-based issue, which is extremely important. But then again, you can also ask, from a consumer perspective, the pro rata element is part of the value proposition. So if I buy, if I have a record collection consisting of, let's say, 1,000 records, I pay 10 euros for a record, and I own these 1,000 records. That is all the music that I can listen to when I'm at home. When I subscribe to streaming, maybe there should be a model that compensate what I actually listens to, but also a compensation of what I could listen to, what is potentially listenable, which is the pro rata. So I pay part of the value that I pay for a streaming subscription is what I listen to, but also knowing that I can listen to everything if I want to, and that should maybe be monetized in a different way.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is there another person? Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kafayat Quadri. I am a musician and a lawyer. I think that we've come to a place right now all over the world where, as Africans, we need to have our own platforms, and we need to stop crying over how all these things are being done, because I don't think it's going to get any better. We need to have our own companies here, our own SPs. We have SPs already. We have companies that distribute, but we need platforms the way they have in India, the way they have in China, because those countries already know their power and their what. Nigeria alone, we still do not know how powerful we are. And Africa as a continent, that is on another level. So we need to create platforms that allow us to be more independent, and not just the independent artists, the companies in Africa and also in Nigeria need to be more independent in a way that you do not have to keep relying on awards, on this and that from people outside the country. It will be in collaboration, but we need to know that in our hearts. We need to be those people. Once we realize it, then the conversations we'll be having will be different. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think the final question before we wrap up is going to be, if you have a pen in your hands right now to redraft a particular policy or to introduce a particular policy, what do you think it will be? I'm going to start with you. But I think it's...
I wasn't trying to answer that question. But I was trying to piggyback on what she said. Yeah. Well, I completely get the whole...
I mean, the question is in the air.
Yes.
So I would just take
let's build our own systems and all of that. If you remember one of the speakers, the man who's an expert in the field, the issue is that we have a people problem where we don't necessarily trust each other. So we've even seen most of the situations where artists have been done, quote and unquote, dirty in this country. They have been powered by Nigerians to a fellow Nigerian. And a lot of the times, again, when we go back to the knowledge conversation, you see that some people do not even understand when they sign certain contracts what they entail, because, again, we're talking about how sometimes you see only the artists written there. In situations where, for instance, an artist owns their own studio, the artist is sponsoring, called you as a producer, see, come, this is what I'm doing. I just need you to do this. Pays you and tells you, do only that thing. Is it, because there's in our Copyright Act, we have the situation of work for hire. Are you working as a contractor, or like, are you going to retain a right in the thing? Sometimes people just go in because, okay, I just want to make money. They have these rate cards. I've seen recently, I was looking at a friend's rate card, and I just, like, I laughed because I was like, okay, it's cute that you have a rate card, but it's more than that. What are you signing to? What are you agreeing to do? So we see that there's a trust component, and maybe if we're, let me see if I can enter into your question on the issue of policy. I think maybe a policy that we can have is the same way we see with land transactions, that it has to be in writing. If we had a lot of these things in writing, because in 2026, we still have situations whereby artists are going into things that are not necessarily in writing. So maybe a policy that has to do with it must be in writing and you must have your own legal representation. That would probably put a nice spin to things.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another person with another deep policy as us.
One policy I would say, first of all, is that the metadata should always, like, there should be a stipulated way of uploading music. There shouldn't be that situation where, was it Bimbo Ademoye put a movie out on YouTube and then some random person now takes a song, a soundtrack from the movie and puts it on streaming platforms. So there's no verification as to who made this music, the songwriters and everyone involved in the song. So that should be very strict, so that only the person who actually made music should be able to put it out.
Thank you very much.
Hi. So if I'm to make a policy, right, my policy will not entirely be about what we are discussing right now, just on that only, no. My policy would include, it will cover both, starting from the use of the whole AI and ownership, down to how you can then collect make royalties, collect monies and all that. So one issue we are having now, which we've not settled, we are yet to, is the fact that Nigeria as a whole, we don't have, how should I put it, a unified position, right? We don't have, let's say, this is our agreement on how ownership and all this regarding artificial intelligence creations should be approached. Take, for example, the US Copyright Office released a report, which basically, it's divided in 3 parts, right? But the part which struck me the most is where the office tried to classify ownership of copyright, generative AI, ownership of works made through AI, the generative AI, into 2 classes, which is where you generally prompt the AI to just, for example, create an R&B or create a pop music, 1980s style, this, that, and the AI gives that, you have an output produced by the AI. You are not exactly regarded as the owner of that output. But where, for example, you have a lyrics on ground, then you input the prompt, input the lyrics, and you're saying, fine-tune these lyrics, let it sound like this, let it sound like this. Then that is classified as ownership. You are then regarded as the owner of that particular output, because you expected that, okay, you've done some work here, you've inserted human effort, all of these things. So if we don't have a take on this, for example, how then, where you've not been able to agree that to this extent, this is how I've used AI in this production, this is how I've used AI in this songwriting, or this is how I've done it. In future, which is not so long, right? Exactly. So we may likely see situations where even the AI platforms will say, you've done this. This is the part that it's yours to this extent. And to this other extent where we have provided this technology to you, we should at least get so. But if there is no clear-cut, arrangement to say this is it, this is how we've agreed, then how do you know who to pay to and what to do? So there should be a policy that could help us. We can't wait on legislation instead. We can have a policy and just move up.
Should I proceed? Okay, the question is if you're to implement a policy, right? Okay, first of introduction, my name is Chukwudi Chimezie. I'm a lawyer, partner, Atlas legal practitioner. Now, if I'm to, if I'm talking about a policy, it's basically going to be our CMOs. Now, most times we have a couple of clients, they'll write to us, Cozon sent us a letter. They want us to pay for the usage of music in our store, in our hotel. And then when we write back, in terms of for them to like, okay, our client is to pay a certain amount of money for the license. Okay, how much is it? How do you come about your data in terms of knowing the estimate of how much is to pay and stuff? Most times they don't write back. Most times they just come up with a figure and they send it and say, oh, this is like a blanket and fee and all. And of course, we know these things do not apply. So I think there should be an actual. First off, we need to work with the data we're collating currently, and also even maybe have some tech partner with our tech community and find a way around actually coming up with an actual data on how we can estimate this usage of music. Anywhere in the world, if music is played, someone earns. But over here in Nigeria, we keep on saying these things over and over again, but it's still not yet implemented. So I think something should be done about that. Secondly, there should also be reversionary rights of copyright. Now, this thing is very applicable in the US. We talk about signing bad contracts and all that. But then, say an artist 40 years back, 30 years back, most times then it was purely about it was mostly about your talent. You're talented. You get signed on. All the foreign record labels then, almost all of them acquired our copyright, and they're all foreign record labels that came into Nigeria. They acquired our copyright. If you look at the contract, I have a couple of contracts that were like maybe 40 years ago. If you look at, you see there, the lyrics and the masters and sound record, even though it still covered masters and publishing, because you see the lyrics, composition, the masters and everything is assigned to the record label, and it's a foreign record label. Right, and now you realize that most of our you talk about high life music, the core of it belongs to I'm talking about the Osade base. Most of this like very core high life, it belongs to foreign record labels. If you dip it through, so I think there should be if there's any copyright, I don't know, any additional, this should. I expected it. I'm sorry, let me just go. Yeah. So, because this is something that is also applicable in the US. After 35 years or so, it reverts back to the copyright owner. So I think something like that should also be typical here. Because now when a record label, it contracts with, there's a record label and an artist, and the essence is to make profit. I believe in that period of years, they should have made as much profit as possible. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you very much. It has been a very extensive conversation. So just two more and we are done. Please.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why you're laughing. But, what you have said, first, the names you have mentioned, okay, I'll take Premier Records, for example. All the works under Premier Records right now does not belong to a foreign company. Premier Records is a wholly Nigerian entity right now. Yes, back in the days, as Philips, yes, we are 63 years. When we started as Philips West Africa, which was a foreign company. And in the 70s, we became Phonogram Records, which was still a foreign label.